Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, Cockatoos with Attitude, and Friends. Today we're going to be talking about the unhappy parrot. And speaking of unhappy cockatoos, Chloe passed away on the first day of the year. And this guy has not recovered. And when I say not recovered, he used to always be playful, always be bouncing around. Now when he's in the aviary, Mr. Snowball, when he's in the aviary, he just sits on a perch and looks out, up at the sky. Right, Snowball? And then he'll go, Snowball, Snowball. I'll put that recording of his cry in the video, but he cries and cries and cries, and I can get him to sit on me like this. Yes, I know. I can get him to sit on me like this, right, baby? Yeah, I know. And one of the few things he still does have is aggression towards a few of the other birds. He doesn't seem to care for Sugar or for Salamander, but so what I want to talk about is this episode is going to be on the plans to deal with this issue. Okay, I thought it would be over. I thought it would be over in maybe 2 weeks. From what I had read, for example, if you watch the Parrots of Telegraph Hill, Mark Bittner watched them, and it was about 10 days. They'd grieve, and then they'd get back into the flock, and they'd kind of get back into the swing of life. He hasn't done that. And this is not normal Snowball behavior. And it's not at all. Today was the first day out in the aviary that he even came over. He actually came over and, didn't you, boy? And he sat in my lap for a while.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success.
I think treated, most of these birds have a good prognosis. And I would say
What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions?
Shake.
How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. Of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
It was a little unusual because Pippa was there, and normally he will go after her. He doesn't really hurt her, but he scared her away. But he didn't. He just sat there and let me pet him, didn't you? I know. So this episode I'm going to talk about the plans, the things that I've worked out using the science I've learned to try to break him out of this. I thought it would just kind of go naturally, but it isn't. I mean, we're into mid-February now, and he's still doing this. So we're going to see what we can do to fix this problem, aren't we, Guy? Now, what we do with applied behavior analysis is we look at the whole thing, the situations they're in, Okay, so the environment, the setting environment around them. In this case, you're looking at each one, how he acts in the aviary, how he acts in the socialization room, how he acts in the main bird room, and how he acts in the night room. Okay. In the main bird room, his cage is it's packed in there. Moving cages around is not really an option. But he's right next to Chloe's old cage, and in Chloe's old cage is Cecil. Now, Cecil's one of those birds that I should have brought him in too, but Cecil is one of those birds that he'll tear a cage apart. So we didn't have a cage to put him in. In order to have a cage that Cecil can go into that he won't just tear to pieces, it's got to have bead welds. He did have a cage out there that he was in, which Marley's in now, which didn't have bead welds, but what it had was these really long tack welds. I mean, we're talking almost an inch tack welds, not to bars, but to big long plates. And he didn't pull that apart. Hi, Snowball. What you doing? Where are you going? Gonna eat the chair? Huh? You gonna eat the chair? Yeah. So, he's been crying since he saw her depart this world. He has been crying. And I've stopped. The first thing I did, and this is something I've already done, I've taken him out of the main bird room. Now he's in the room with Pippa and Babaloo. It's helping their relationship a little bit. They didn't get along so well. They still don't get along great, but they, being in the same room and at least commiserating that they're by themselves in there, seems to have improved that situation a little bit. But this guy, if I put him in the main bird room in his normal cage, where he was right next to Chloe, he just gets to the bottom of the cage, the farthest side against the wall, and he just goes, Snowball, Snowball, all day long. Don't you, buddy? Once in a while, he'll say something else, like good bird or that kind of thing, but when I start talking to him, but then he goes right back to the crying. Now, this is not normal behavior for him either, where he's just putting his head down and just letting me do his neck. Normally, he's the kind of bird you can pet for about 5 minutes and he's off doing something, being involved in something, messing with another bird, something like that. But so the first thing you do with applied behavior analysis is you look at the settings that they're in. You look at the changes that have occurred since we know them. A lot of times you don't know. You get a bird in, you don't know. They tell you what the bird's been through, but a lot of that turns out to be either poor observation on the part of the person who relinquishes them, or outright lying because they don't want you to not take the bird because there's something wrong with it. So the first thing I did was change his situation. So now he is staying in that one cage, his night cage. This isn't planned to be permanent, just a temporary shift. And it doesn't have a grate at the bottom, so I have to clean it like 5 or 6 times a day. So if I see any poop in there, I just pull the paper out and put new paper in. He's still crying, but not as much. Now, in the night room, he wasn't right next to Chloe's cage, so she was across the room from him, and Cecil's cage was kind of in the way between them, so it's not as striking to him, perhaps, that she's not there. But still, when I go to his cage in the morning, I used to give him a treat, give him his medicine, because he is a little bit feather destructive, so he tears him up just normally in the morning. So I go in to give him his medicine, and he would take it on peanut butter, but now he doesn't seem to care. of the peanut butter, and so I have to give it to him with a syringe. You know, he does that just fine. But he just looks at me with these big eyes, like, what happened? You know, like he doesn't believe what's going on in his world. We can't get in their heads, but that's what I like, puppy dog eyes. You know, that's what it looks like. So one of the things I have avoided doing because he gets terribly aggressive. I'm going to go through the different things I thought of doing. He gets terribly aggressive if you play frisbee with him. He loves to play frisbee, but then he's more likely to attack other birds. He's never hurt another bird, so when I say attack, it looks scary, but he hasn't hurt anybody yet. It just, you know, he just goes after them and then they run away or fly away, depending on their skill in flight, or if they can't fly, then they'll run. So now the thing is, I'm still working this out. I'm not sure whether I want to do it in there, okay, or if I want to do it at the end when we are leaving the aviary. You know, we've got bad weather coming, so I won't be able to do that. So, at least not right now. I can't go out in the aviary when it's raining, and we have like flash flood warnings for Thursday, and this is a Tuesday. So, and in California, if you're going to get more than an inch or so of rain, you got flash flood warnings, okay? And we had all those fires, so there's a lot of area where there's nothing holding that ground in place. So I have to choose whether to do that in the main bird room, in the socialization room, or in the sleeping room, you know, their night room. So I'm thinking I'll do it in here. I will probably record that. I will probably put up a little bit for the public, and the bulk of the videos of my working with him are going to be for our patrons because they keep us going. They're the ones that give us a little bit of money every month for, you know, so that we can keep doing this. It's not cheap to do it. We have to pay a lot more for our internet connection to be able to upload. We have massive amounts of data. You know, we've got 8 terabytes of hard drive space here, plus we have 2 terabytes at Apple and a terabyte at Google. So we have a lot of things that we have to do. Plus, we like to get new equipment here and there. I'm using this microphone. I've got a newer one, but I still haven't figured it out, to be honest with you. I keep looking on the web and trying to research why the volume comes in so low on that. It's supposed to be a better unit, but the volume is terribly low. So I could wear the pin mic on me, but these guys will probably eat it. Right, Snowball? Right, Snowball? You guys are so quiet. You're being awfully quiet. Well, you're cute, but you're awfully quiet. Well, you are. So the next thing I'm going to do is I have my next set of tests that I have to do for my training with Dr. Selig on the Animal Training 101 to get my certification, her certification for being a bird trainer. I have to make videos of certain training things that you need to do. And you know, in order to do this, you have to establish some things. So the first thing I'm going to do with him is I'm going to teach him to target. 2 types of targeting. A stationary target, where he can put his beak on that target, and then he'll get rewarded for holding it there, and then, you know, as soon as I give him the bridge, he's going to turn to me, and a lot of people call it, you know, they use the clicker training, but if you've ever been around African greys, you don't want to train these guys with a clicker, because even with the cockatoos, they might start making the clicking sound, and it's just better to use your own voice. So I want to train him to go to a stationary target, which basically I just drill a hole in a perch and drop in a piece of wood that's attached to a bar. That's it. I chose a piece of wood because they're easily replaced. And if you establish a particular target in a particular way, it's nice to keep that thing uniform. So that way, if there's ever a problem, I can replace it easy. It's not like, oh, I've got to figure out how to get one of these again. They do make some commercial targets. Those are good too. I'm going to teach them one of those as well so that you can do things like train them to turn circles. I have one of those. It's a little red ball on the end of a telescoping rod, okay? So you can teach them to do like circles or do different things by following that target. But that's later. I'm going to teach him the stationary target and also the target to my hand, okay? So I can have him target to my hand and then push him off to the stationary target. That's the first thing I want to train him. And I want to train him because he needs it the most. He needs a break. And training will help to exercise that mind of his. Okay? So, letting him play Frisbee. Instead of once a month, we're talking about doing it 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe every day for a while, for 5 minutes. After we've done our socialization, when he's not going to be around the other birds for a while, so he won't be aggressive. That's the idea. You got to think these things out. If you think, well, maybe I can have him do this, even if you know that it makes him aggressive, okay? If you don't think it out, you might end up with a situation you're not happy with, okay? If he gets aggressive to other birds. So these things have to come after he's being put away for the day. Right, Snowball? See what I mean? He's just sitting down there letting me pet him. This is not Snowball. This is not Snowball. He's healthy enough. You know, the vet checks him out. He's fine, but physically fine, but mentally he's just gone. Then I'm going to try to teach him some new games, just playing. Okay? He's used to chasing frisbees, so I'm going to try to get him to chase a ball. And I've got some of those balls, larger balls that have the holes in them. They're bigger than a baseball, okay? And they have holes in them, so they're just, I'm going to try to teach him to do a little fetch with that. I'll play with those. And come up with some other games he can play. Right, Snowball? Other games you can play? Hmm? You guys are so quiet. Should I tickle you? Should I oh, I got you. Should I tickle you? What? I'll pet you if you want to come down here. Well, come on, I'll pet you. Well, come on. Come on down. You don't really want me to stretch that far, do you? You gonna come down here? Oh, jeez. See how you are? You don't want to get that close to Snowball. I understand. See what Snowball does? This whole thing right here? That's when they do this beak thing where they move their tongue, sometimes it's for positive reasons and sometimes it's for negative reasons. And he does not seem to like the Moluccans at all. Actually, they're Saram cockatoos, misnamed as Moluccans here. There's 1,500 islands roughly in the Moluccan chain, so to say Moluccan is kind of like saying, oh, I drive a car. You know, lots of different cars, but I drive a car. He doesn't like the Sarams. And when I say doesn't like, that's not really the case. He is territorial about them. He tries to get them out of his territory. They don't like or dislike the way we do. They don't have human emotions, so don't anthropomorphize these guys. Yeah. Now, another thing I did start today is when we're socializing, getting him around 1 or 2 other birds and petting him while he's with them. I had him today with Lucy and Pippa on my lap at the same time as him, and he was showing a little aggressive tendency towards them, but he didn't do anything. He just let me pet him. So, but again, that's not normal behavior for him. So I'm going to try to work to socialize him with the other birds a little bit more. When he was with Chloe, that wasn't a problem. He would go sit by her, and he tended not to get aggressive. You got an itch you're scratching there, kid? Lucy? Loose the goose? Peaches! What are you doing over there, Peach? Giving him a little more time individual time with me. I can't overdo that though, because if he gets to the point where he expects it, then we've got another situation. So we don't want that, do we, Snowball? Do we, Snowball? Right now I stopped with the petting and just moving my finger a little bit on his face. He's staring at Sugar though. He's not happy with me petting the Sugar. He's showing a little territoriality, aren't you? But a little territoriality. He's not fired up as he usually gets. Are you? Introducing him to new toys. The toys are similar. I'm going to get him some special toys, things that he's not used to playing with, and try to get him to play with them by playing with him. When you want to teach a cockatoo especially to play with a new toy, it's best to sit down and play with them. So I'm going to get him some of those expensive toys. And when I say expensive, they're 10 times more expensive than the ones I make. And the ones I make are better in most cases because they last, well, they may last a day, depending on, Cecil, he'll go through 2 toys in a day. But, the plastic parts that I make in the chain last a long time. I just throw wood in there, and I throw some leather and some twine and hang finger traps off the twine, and I put in some of those bagels, and I can put up a couple of pictures of stuff that I make. But I also make foot toys that are similar. I usually take a piece of leather, string some beads and some wood on it, and that's a foot toy. A little big for you though. This one has to get her own little foot toys because she's a dainty little thing, aren't you? Yeah. She's heavier than she looks though. She's about 500 grams. Right, Snowball? Right, Snowball? Snowball. Snowbird. Come here, Snowbird. Come on up here. You're just sitting there with your head in a corner. That's what you do. You put your head in a corner, you stare. Now you're going to bury your head in my shirt, right? You're going to, oh, there's that look. There's that patented Snowball look. What happened? Why is she gone? Yeah, he lets out a little sigh. You ever heard a bird sigh? They go, just like we do. Don't you? Now, as I'm working with each one of these things, I'm going to film them. I'm going to film some portion of them to look back and see objectively how well they're working. I think that playing with frisbees will help to get him a little bit out of it, but you really can't tell. And you think you know what you're seeing, you don't always. Those videos in our show notes that I suggest you watch will show you just how much you don't see. So if you watch a video you've taken of a bird's behavior over and over again, you eventually you should catch what in the world's going on. You have to watch it many times. So teaching him tricks, you say tricks, but actually training him to be a good student, to learn some new behaviors, targeting, and then move on to other behaviors as well. Once he's learned targeting, I'm going to start to teach him to target different parts of his body so that I can just touch something. I can already do some of this, but touch a wing, bring the wing out, that kind of thing. Specific things like opening the beak so you can look down the throat for examinations. I can do that, but I want to get it on a better cue. And all of that is to enhance his little mind. Little mind? Yeah. Maybe your mind is much bigger than I think, huh? Another thing is to get him out of this place, to take him out more often. He tends to be a little flighty. I know it sounds funny, but he does tend to be a little flighty. He gets scared easy. So he's got to be on a harness. Got to be careful with him. If you don't have the harness tight enough, he'll get his foot caught in there, and then you're going to get bit because he panics if he gets his foot caught in the harness. So you have to make sure that the harness has just 1 finger's width of leeway inside of it, where you tighten it up around the neck. We only use the aviator harness. The rest of them are junk. I've never seen any other harness that's any good. But with him, one time I was down at the Renaissance Fair, and he had managed to loosen up the harness and got his foot stuck in there. I didn't get any blood on him, though. Considering how much was running down my arm, he was so panicked. Weren't you, boy? Look at this. This is what I'm dealing with. So, this is not Snowball. This is a grieving bird. So those of you that think that these guys are just pets, think again, okay? They're much more complex than a pet. Monkeys with wings, except of course they're not mammals. You're not a monkey. No, you're not. You're a snowball. You're the snowball. 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 That's another thing I'm going to work with, of course, is calm attention, which is teaching the bird to pay attention to you. If you see any of Dr. Zelig's videos, she has a few of them online. Most of them are in her course, but you'll see how readily these animals pay attention to her. Well, that's because she trained them to do that. It's called calm attention. So she starts out just getting them to look at her for a second, and then she gives them a reward. And that over time, it goes from 1 second to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 to 20 to a minute to longer than that, where the animal will just keep their attention on you. So getting his attention off the situation and onto me would probably be a good thing. All right, Snowball? So those are the basic 3 I'm going to work with him on. Right, Snowball? And then the other part of the process with ABA is you work with them, you record it, you look back, see what the results were, and see what you can do to tweak it. He might respond better to the training than he does to the Frisbee. The Frisbee might cause other problems, and may have to stop doing that, and then maybe instead of using Frisbees, use the lid off peanut butter jars or something, you know. Switch it around, find some other game you can play. Getting him out at least once a week to go out just with me, or him and one other bird, both in harnesses, of course. Right, Snowball? Right, Snowball? Now, he is a bird that will bite out of fear. He doesn't, and that's not afraid of me, okay? If he's afraid of something else and he wants to get away and I'm stopping him, he will try to get me to let go so he can go. He's not trying to hurt me. He just wants to go. Don't you? There you go, Snowball. 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 I know, Snowball. I know, Snowball. 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 You're such a good bird. Snowball is such a good bird. He's a good boy. He's a good bird. He's a good boy. Yes, he is. He's a good boy. Yes, he is a good boy. Now that sounds more like my Snowball. Snowball. you could usually get him to go on for hours. Oh, there you go. My tongue's not working too well today. Did you notice? He makes a whole bunch of sounds like that normally when you're doing it, not just this one little sound. He modulates it, does all kinds of weird things to try to get you to copy it. He makes it more difficult, but he's just doing the same thing over and over now. And sitting there like a bump on a log. Sitting there like a bump on a log. So, to summarize, I'm going to, it's the parenthetical we, right? Going to keep reassessing his environment. Right now he's going to stay in the back room with 2 other birds, obviously in separate cages. Okay, right, Snowball. He's going to get trained. He's going to learn to target and calm attention. 2 types of targeting, at least. Right, boy? You're going to help me get my certification, and that's going to help you. That's another thing to think of. When you're doing something, if you have to work with a bird to help them, try to think of some way that you can double or triple your time with it. So if I'm helping him learn this, I'm also passing my classes that I want. I just love the techniques and I want to ingrain them. And it's there you go. I want to ingrain them. So again, I'm reinforcing his positive behavior and bounced his head. Normally he would do that a lot if you're holding him, but take him out, get him out, do different things with him outside, teach him to play different games he hasn't been playing, and see what we can do with the Frisbee. Record as much of this as I can and look at it, revise, and do it again. Just keep revising, and then eventually I'll start to swing him back into his main cage, so he'll have his day cage and night cage again. Right now, if you put him in that cage, he just goes in the corner and starts crying, so. Yeah, that's you, isn't it? That is my snowbird, my Snowball. Yeah, you're such a good bird. You're such a good bird. Poor guy, you know, he got made aggressive, and he never lost his feeling for Chloe, but Chloe just, she was afraid of him, but she cared for him at the same time. Kind of the battered woman syndrome, you know, except that he didn't do anything he did out of any evil in him. It just happens in captivity. It's something about being in crowded spaces. In the aviary, it's a lot different, you know, and that's a bigger space. Well, actually, it's not bigger than this room, but it seems more spacious because the whole world's around us, you know. And they seem to behave more positively in there. In this room, if I had brought in Bob would have been territorial. I couldn't have even got him on my lap. Cecil probably would have been all right, but when I'm trying to focus on Snowball, I had to limit the number of birds in here. This one. What you doing? What you doing, Lucy? Peaches, you're so quiet over there. She hasn't been quiet today, but they were out in the aviary for 3 hours, so they're pretty burned out. But I don't know when we're going out there again. It's going to be cold and rainy for, what, a week coming? This is not California weather. Although I must admit one thing. Today, the only day it hasn't rained, and I don't know, at least drizzled in a week, which is not our normal behavior here. The humidity was 15%. That is just weird. We went from 80% humidity the day before to 15%. We've become a desert out here. You know, yeah, they talk about the climate. Well, let me tell you, the climate here has changed. We have tumbleweeds that come in now. Tumbleweeds, we've never had tumbleweeds before. That's something you see in the desert, not something you see in a steppe region. Maybe now we've got enough rain this year that the tumbleweeds will go away. I hope so. Don't care for tumbleweeds. Well, you decided to do something besides just sit there? You wait till we're almost done with the episode? Yeah. He hasn't come down to be over here because I have Snowball in my lap and he's not so sure how Snowball's going to handle it. Right? Right? You want to step over? Okay. I got him. Snowball. It's all right, boy. It's all right. He's trying to get Snowball to preen him, and I don't know if that's a great idea. Not in Snowball's current state of mind. So the other thing was to get him to socialize with more birds, and as you can see, he's doing the tongue thing, and that's not necessarily good here. Snowball, you want to tell everybody goodbye? Say goodbye till next time, huh, Snowball? Snowball, Snowball, Snowball. We're going to have a happier Snowball. We want to have a happier Snowball. We do. Look at that. You just keep looking me in the eyes. You want to do that? Oh, you haven't done that in a month. That's one of his games. That was it? We done? Okay.
We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @Chloe Sanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.